got my co-host Rob here, ready for another Thursday Night Live. We are so excited that you're joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join in the conversation. We'd love to have your input and thoughts on what we're discussing tonight. First and foremost, man, so many Rookie of the Year award winners have come from Ohio State. So many. We saw the graphics. We all saw it this week that six of the last eight have come from Ohio State, man. What do you think about that? What do you think about what the Buckeyes are producing and putting in the league, Rob?
I mean, all I gotta say is like any like look at all the number of first round draft picks. I mean, anybody can go first round, but not everybody is ready to rise to the occasion to win the Rookie of the Year award, and that just shows that Ohio State prepares their players to be more NFL ready.
I know Instagram's only been around since 2011, so bear that in mind. But I cannot recall a time a university having this many either offensive or defensive Rookie of the Year award winners. Man, we had Marshawn Lattimore, Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, now CJ Stroud joining the likes of all the other players that have done it, man. And I feel bad for getting the ones that I'm leaving out. But man, it's remarkable how many guys Ohio State continues to produce that are prepared for the next level. They're not just entering the league as stars with future potential that's going to produce in 3 to 4 years down the road. They're producing freaking immediately, and it's amazing to watch it happen, and it's astounding because it's recruiting 101, man. We win these awards, we sweep these awards seemingly every year, and that's just saying we're NFL factory now is what we are at Ohio State. Now, here's the thing. For me personally, this is just my own view. It's really cool to win those awards. It is super cool. I'd rather they produce at the college level than in the NFL. Just me personally, that's my own fanhood because I care way more about college than I do about the NFL. Because my team, the Washington, has stunk for my entire life essentially. So my NFL fanhood is just not as strong there. But I'd rather them produce championships than accolades at the next level. Although both are great, so don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. I think both are phenomenal, and I think Ohio State has a very, very strong case to be considered to be NFL university right now. Just not just wide receiver U, not cornerback U, not defensive end U or edge U, whatever you want to call it nowadays. NFL U. You had a video on this earlier this week, man. Share a couple of your thoughts from that video.
I mean, like, yeah, Ohio State has definitely produced a lot of first rounders over the years, and a lot of those first rounders have produced into NFL Rookie of the Year. And like, what I don't want to hear anymore is that Ohio State can't produce at the next level and can't develop the next level. Like, I hear this like, oh, Ryan Day's able to get all this talent, but he can't develop. That's not true. I mean, it may be they may be talking about the defense a little bit, but definitely not the offense. I mean, look at the first three rookies of the year and the last three rookies of the year
Hmm.
in the NFL. The first three were under Urban Meyer, which it was all defense. Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, Marshawn Lattimore,
Sure.
and the others. You oh yeah, wasn't it Chase Young as well?
I think Chase Young won Defensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have the last two and Garrett Wilson and
Yeah.
C.J. Stroud. So definitely a change from defense to offense, but still like they can develop and produce at the next level.
Well, that's
Definitely.
the thing. They're not just producing at the college level. A lot of people are saying Marvin Harrison never won anything in college. Blah 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 blah. He's going to leave as one of the most prolific wide receivers to ever play the game of college football. He's going to leave probably the NFL if he can stay healthy. Of course, that is one of the most productive wide receivers in the NFL's history. I think he's route man Marv. He's Maserati Marv for a reason. Like he's got it all right.
Yeah, definitely.
He can
I
do
think
everything.
Yeah, I think he's gonna blow away expectations. I think he's gonna end his career, greater than what his dad did. I mean, look at him in college. It was a man amongst boys. I mean,
It was
look at the Michigan game. He made that one handed catch when Will
against Will
Johnson was
Johnson.
all over him. He's definitely.
Tackling him.
I'm marking it down right now. He will be the next NFL Rookie of the Year.
You're saying he's going to win it for sure. Like, there's no
Yeah,
questions
for sure.
asked, bar none.
I
Marvin
mean,
Harrison, MHJ is going to win it.
who else is there? I don't see anybody else who
I
looks.
don't see
I mean, he
Neighbors or
he
Dunze
could have went to the
breaking
pros
out right away.
last year and won it.
It's
He,
funny because I think he had a tremendous junior season, but I think he had an even better sophomore year. I really do, and I think he should have won the Bilikinoff last year, and maybe Romeo Dunze should have won it this year. But that's up for debate. That's either neither here nor there. He was the best receiver in college football the last two seasons without question. There's
yeah,
no debating that. There's no debating
definitely,
that, and that's
definitely,
why he won the award. They like to give it to upperclassmen, it seems, though awards. Even if underclassmen are more deserving, it seems statistically.
yeah.
And he had a better statistically, season last year than he did this year per se.
Here's another thought on that. All right,
Hmm.
Alabama's not doing this. Georgia's not doing it. Yeah, they've had a lot of first rounders, but they haven't had a lot of success as quick as Ohio State first rounders. I mean,
Well, that's the thing.
nobody else is producing this well in college football.
W-
Again, go back, look at the NFL draft, see the first round from the last like 10 years. Actually, no, go back to 2016. A lot of those players they didn't amount to much. So again, you can produce
Sure,
first rounders because in college you can really stick out to be a man amongst boys. But
he can.
are you going to take that? Are you going to be able to convert that talent to the NFL? And
Well, that's the
Ohio
thing.
State
People,
hasn't ever did.
Garrett Wilson won the offensive rookie of the year, but Chris Olave is right behind him with 1,000 yards himself. So if Wilson didn't win it, Olave would have won it. Another Buckeye product, another
Yeah,
BIA type product from the best wide receiver room in America from Brian Hartline. And we talked about it on last week's show. Um, a little bit of who can replicate what we do in practice and cornerback versus wide receiver and going at it 1-on-1 drills, 7-on-7 drills in practice. Who can replicate that? Nobody can. But the point I want to make here though is Marvin Harrison is coming out and he's most likely going to be the best prospect coming out of Ohio State outside of CJ Stroud in a while, putting to bed that narrative that Ohio State doesn't produce quarterbacks. But my main point is, I compared him. I didn't think there'd be wide receivers like AJ Green and Julio Jones coming out for a while again, and there really hasn't been until Marvin Harrison Jr. He's that kind of guy, and that's the kind of comparison he's getting. He's the long 6'4" guy. Athletic, rangy, quick, fast, route, unbelievable route running skills. And he's just a freak of nature, man. I'm excited to see who's going to draft him, and who do you think who's going to go after Marvin Harrison? He's a top 5 pick for sure, right? He's got to be.
yeah. I hope he doesn't go to the Cardinals. Maybe the
Not
Bears.
with not with Kyler, please, not with Kyler, right?
Yeah,
Kyler's not committed to his craft, is he?
possibly the Bears. I could see him definitely going to the Bears.
Linking up with DJ Moore and maybe a new quarterback, but
Yeah,
hopefully
maybe
Justin
the
Fields.
quarterback. So here's the thing. The Bears are trying to get a trade for Justin Fields so they can
Yeah.
sneak up to that top spot, draft Caleb Williams, and draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Now,
Hmm.
I think Marvin Harrison Jr. could win offense, could win Rookie of the Year next year, but with a quarterback who can actually throw, read the field, and everything,
It's gonna
I
have to
think
be.
he'll have the best rookie year ever. Like the best rookie
You
year
hear
ever.
that, people?
He's that
You hear
talented.
that?
Again, he could have been drafted top 3 overall after his
Sophomore
sophomore year.
campaign.
Like
Yeah.
seriously.
Well, it is so dependent on fits, especially at a wide receiver position who's not touching the ball every play. It is so dependent on your quarterback, and so he's going to have to go into position with a stabilized quarterback. I wonder if like if he goes to a team like Atlanta. I know they don't have a top 5 pick, but they're looking at Kirk Cousins, a quarterback, to replace their paltry quarterback position, what they got right now at QB, and they're looking to upgrade. But I wonder if he'd fit in there. I wonder if he'd fit in Chicago. Um, I'd have to go over the top five again and see where they are. But it seems like Chicago's trying to pull like a Houston Texans kind of thing, where they get the two of the top five picks, but both going offense, not just one offense, one defense. You know, with CJ and with the Alabama great that they drafted last year.
Yeah. They they'd really have to trade away some pieces to pull that one off. But here's the thing: no matter where Marvin Harrison Jr. goes, I just think he's that good. That he's gonna make it.
So
He's a
it doesn't
beyond.
matter.
It doesn't
He
matter.
could have
It really
CJ
doesn't matter.
Beathard throwing him the ball, and he'd still produce that
Yeah,
greatest rookie
it,
season.
it's gonna be like DeAndre Hopkins. With DeAndre Hopkins, it didn't matter what quarterback he had. I mean, I had him for
It's a good wow,
for
great
fantasy
point.
football many seasons. Didn't matter what quarterback he had. He was a gamer no matter what. And I think that's what Marvin Harrison Jr. is gonna be.
Well, this is the thing, man. You put the ball anywhere near him, he's gonna go get it. He's just athletic enough. He's physical enough. He's talented enough. He's gonna go get the football. You saw that in the Notre Dame game. I was watching some highlights on Instagram today, just reminding people of Marvin Harrison Jr. and the effect he had on that last route, that diving catch over the middle that he had in that possession. He had a couple catches versus Michigan on the last possession too. Unfortunately, couldn't seal off the victory, but versus the Wolverines. But that's what ended up happening. Marvin Harrison had a great impact on both games. So
Here's what I would like to see from Marvin Harrison Jr. at the next level as well.
what's
Just
that? What you
something
got?
that I noticed. He needs to come back to the ball and fight with the
A
cornerback
little more
at the
aggression.
ball. A little more aggression, dude. I mean, finesse is great, but a little more aggression. I would like to see that more from him.
You're not wrong. That last play versus Michigan, I've seen it from multiple angles. He maybe could have stuck his head in there a little bit, you know.
I mean, even the first interception, he
Even the
just
first one, right? He had no effort on that. It seemed like, right? And that's where what's his name? Roman Wilson just comes
yeah,
off and pisses me off
pretty
with his
soft.
comment. Comes off and pisses me off with the comment about him being soft. No, bro. No. He still went for 118 and a touchdown on you fools. And he went for over 100 and a touchdown last year on you fools also. So don't get it twisted. He's not soft. But I'm very excited to see what he's going to do in the league, man. I think you're not far off. I think he will have probably one of the best rookie seasons ever for a wide receiver, no matter where he gets drafted, no matter who's throwing in the football. And that's going to be an exciting thing to watch, and that's going to be an exciting thing to see. Um, that's what I love about the NFL draft, man. So many possibilities and so many things can happen. With him being a top five pick, he's going to be going to a team that's going to need some work, then it's going to need some help, obviously. And it'll be interesting to follow his career. Like, I'm excited for him to go to Indy. I saw a post on Instagram today also about he's finally getting in Indy. You know, High State unfortunately couldn't take him there for the Big Ten championship, but he's going there for the combine, and he'll show out and have a great combine and hopefully stay healthy and be that top five pick that everybody knows he can be and is going to be. So it's gonna be exciting, but yeah, man, I can't wait to see where other guys are gonna go too. You know, like this year is gonna be a little bit different for Ohio State because we're used to so many people going into the draft and having so much to look forward to about new players' careers. You know, launching. This year is going to be quite after Marvin goes. I mean, Mike
We could
Hall.
see Mike Hall late first round, mid second round. I mean,
I
he
was
just
gonna say he's probably not a first rounder because of his size, although he's very disruptive. He's getting the comparisons to Aaron Donald type. I don't know if it'll be that good in the NFL. I hope so, but he is very disruptive. He was destroying Michigan's offensive linemen in the Senior Bowl prep practice videos that we saw, and it could be a wait though, like you said, exactly like you said, man. It could be a long wait after Marvin Harrison for the next Buckeye name to be called. We're gonna have very few names called this year. Only three draft eligible Buckeyes in the draft, and it's going to be interesting to see because this team is so loaded for 2024. If they don't bring home some hardware, man, they give me a lot of people probably fired in Columbus and a lot of disappointed Buckeye fans.
I think I
Let's
think
be let's be real about it.
I think Ryan Day will be at the top of the list. They're reloading the clip.
Yeah, you
They
can
have
only fire assistants so many times, right?
Yeah, they're reloading the clip. They have they hit the transfer portal hard. They're maximizing NIL. I just think that if he doesn't bring home some type of hardware, I mean that's it. I think
What
possibly
if
pull the plug.
What if it's 11-1? We win the Big Ten championship, but the loss is to once again that team up north. What
Well,
happens then in that scenario?
I mean, let's go. Let's go past the Big Ten championship, though. Let's go
Oh
past
yeah,
the
of
Big Ten
course. I mean, the
championship.
goals are higher. Let's be real.
Yeah, let's go past the Big Ten championship. If they lose to Michigan, win the Big Ten championship, and then end up winning the national championship, I think all will be forgiven. Yes, the
Oh,
game
that's
means a lot
crazy.
to this. The game means a lot to the state of Ohio, but I think at the end of the day, Buckeye fans will be happy about bringing it all home with the type
Well,
of
let's
players
transition
they
in the
have.
fact you made an interesting post. I actually didn't even get to watch it just yet, but you made a post about the game losing some of its luster. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that with the 12-team playoff coming into fruition now? What do you think, man?
Yeah. I mean, with the so before the 12-team playoff, the last game of the season, the two teams would meet undefeated. There'd be a lot on the line. There would be Big Ten championship implications on the line. There would be
It's
playoff
fun.
implications on the line. Loser stays home. The loser gets to watch the other team pursue Big Ten championship and possibly a trip to the national championship to win it all.
Yeah.
Now that there's a 12-team,
Yeah.
if both teams come undefeated, it's just like okay, it's bragging rights at that point. You're more than likely both going to get to the playoffs. You're more than likely going to be able to go play for a national championship. But here's the other thing I was thinking
What?
of, and
Yeah.
the comment by someone got me thinking about it. What if they actually met in the playoffs? What if they had a chance to meet in the national championship?
Mm,
But I mean, I see that very
I'd be
rare.
watching a game
I
like
mean,
this, bro.
the significance of the game, I could see it dying down due to this 12 team
The
playoff.
significance of the
I
regular
mean, it's
season meeting could die down, but they could meet in the Big Ten championship. They could meet in the playoffs, like you mentioned, and that level of hype for that type of matchup would be unprecedented, man.
yeah.
They had a chance to
But
meet in the national championship 2 years ago. Had they both won, unfortunately, neither team ended up winning that game. Georgia beat Ohio State by a point, and TCU throttled Michigan. Um, but yeah, no man, if they meet in the playoffs, bro, I'm gonna be watching like this. Not gonna be able to I. It's gonna be so intense, man. I don't know. I won't be able to handle it, and they'll be bragging rights forever. Like, we beat you the first time ever in the playoffs. Like so much will be riding on it in that game. But you're right, the regular season game is gonna lose some of its luster. It's just the reality, the fact, man. Like the stakes aren't as high as they used to be. It used to be a trip to the Rose Bowl back in the '90s and '80s and '70s. Then it was a trip to the BCS, um, BCS either title game or a BCS, 6 game. Now it's a New Year's 6 game. Now it's the playoffs of 12 teams playoffs. It means a lot to the fan bases, but it has to mean less. It can't mean the same that it used to be because a lot more was on the line. Now with the 12-team playoff, they're even considering a 14-team playoff. I heard today. I read as I was at work, and we know it's going to expand to 16, and it's in some year probably in the 2030s at some point it'll expand to 16-team playoff. But yeah, you're absolutely right, man. The game is going to lose the luster. I still will look forward to it with great anticipation and enthusiasm, but I know it will mean less because there'll be so much less at stake. It'll be for playoff seeding more than anything. Now, here's the thing we have to keep in mind: Michigan's not going to be as good as they have been the last 3 years moving forward. Ohio State might have some ups and downs, some dips, and some years like this, but not every year. You know, we're there might come a year where both teams make the playoffs, or maybe just one team makes the playoffs, but neither make the Big Ten championship with a victory over one another. And so we have to come to grips with the fact that it's not just about Ohio State, Michigan anymore. And I think that maybe that was the point of your video. Um, but moving into the playoff formats now, they just moved it over to a 5+7 format. And you made another interesting video this week about Notre Dame. And that made me actually chuckle a little bit because that video was so freaking accurate. And here's the thing I didn't realize until I watched an Uncle Lou video. So shout out to Uncle Lou. Hopefully we can have you on the show sometime. a big time Georgia fan, and Dan Beast as well. We'd love to have you on as well. Um, but he made the clarification of, yeah, Notre Dame, they're not getting the top four seed even if they go undefeated 12-0. It's going to the top four conference Power Four championships. Um, and then the the fifth slot is not guaranteed to the non-power five championship team. They're going to be anywhere from 5 to 12. So it's not that you just slot Liberty in or Coastal Carolina in at 5. They'll probably be 11 or 12. Making the playoffs at 11 or 12 seed and not hosting a game. Like, can you imagine, like Georgia going to Coastal Carolina, the Teal Turf, in a stadium of like 7,000 people. Like, they wouldn't have that, bro. They
No,
wouldn't
they
have that. Like, I've been to that stadium. Like, it's a great area, 30 minutes from the beach, from Myrtle Beach. Like, it's a great city and a great college. I would love to go there. Uh, it's probably a great school, but to host a playoff game there, that's probably never going to happen. So it's interesting. I did note that so the top four playoff Power Five championships are going to host those games. They'll get the buys, but then it's a round robin after that. So that's a really interesting point that I didn't realize until I watched the Uncle Lou video. You probably knew that, but I hadn't read any articles on it. Um, so what are your thoughts on the 5+7 playoff format, man, and what we're looking at moving forward now?
I mean, I think a perfect example, it would have been great to have in 2023 because there were so many great one-loss teams, even two-loss
No.
teams. I mean,
Oh, I know.
even undefeated Florida State got left out. I mean,
Yep.
the quarterback, but they still got left out. Oregon would have been a good prospect for it. And Georgia, how did Georgia get left out?
Georgia at 12-1
They,
left out of the
yeah,
14
left
playoff,
out,
man.
dude.
They would have
After
been a
all those
strong
wins.
contender. They would have at least made the semifinals had they not made the championship game to play Michigan. So um, it's phenomenal. Last year there was a missed opportunity for the 12-team playoff, if you ask me. Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, all those three teams were contenders in my mind, and they did not receive a chance and an opportunity at the national championship. And that's just the way the cookie crumbled for those teams. They lost the most important game of the year. Ohio State, of course, losing on the road to Michigan. Georgia losing to Alabama by 6 also. And it cost them their season. One loss derailed their entire season. And then you saw how Ohio State performed in the Cotton Bowl. You saw Georgia, how they performed. They won that game, but not in a dominating fashion. A lot of players sat. So it's kind of interesting thinking about that. But um, yeah, 5+7. How long do you think we'll actually be in a 5+7 format? Because we're already discussing moving to 14 teams, which doesn't make much sense to me. It makes sense to go to 16, but why 14? Why would anybody move to 14? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I guess
One
that's
more
another
buy,
step.
maybe.
I guess that's another step closer to completely guaranteeing that Bama gets in. So, I mean, that's always been the
Dang,
rumors,
God.
like, oh, they just got to get Bama in. But no, like I don't know. Like, I'd have to go look at the NFL format again to see how comparable
Yeah,
it is to the how comparable it is to the new format in college football. But
sure.
I mean, you'd have to. I don't know. You'd have to set the season back a bit in terms of when would you have the conference championship games and when you would have the playoff games. That's a lot of extra games, dude.
It's a lot of extra games, bro. And a lot of injuries are going to play into these teams. I don't think the best teams are always going to be winning in the 16-team format. You see that in the NFL. You see it all the time. The Giants beat the 18-0 Pats. Like, the Giants were not the best team, yet they won the championship. So that's all anybody remembers. Yeah, Patriots were 18-0 entering that game, but they left it 18-1. And you're going to see upsets. You're going to see injuries playing a role. You're going to see teams losing their starting quarterback like Florida State did. You're going to see teams losing their star running back or wide receiver or defensive end or cornerback or whoever. Whatever the case is, I'm just speculating. I'm just projecting, teams are going to lose players because it's a physical game and people get injured in the game of football. Um, it's just the way it is. And so people are going to have to accept the fact that, like, maybe we should sit some players for these Illinois games, these Northwestern games, or maybe we should sit them for the MSU game or whatever, Minnesota, whoever, talking Big Ten specific, like to save them up for the playoff run. Like, it's going to cause havoc on regular season awards. It's going to cause havoc in Big Ten games, because people go to see these star players. They go see them play, try and take their kids to their first ever game, versus New Mexico State or whomever, Western Kentucky, and you're gonna have Marvin Harrison sit. Like, you're not gonna play because what's the point of him playing? You're gonna win the game regardless, whether he's playing or not. So I get that, but you're gonna start to see, I think, players sit. You're gonna start to see players injured in these postseason games, causing betters to lose their minds, and it's going to be quite interesting to see what's going to happen, man. It's inevitable we're going to move to 16 because greed takes over, and greed has already ruined and taken over the sport, as you know. And so we're going to move from 12 to 16, I think, rapidly, probably before 2030, if you ask me. That's my estimation. I think we're moving to 16 team playoff before 2030. What are your thoughts
Yeah,
on that?
I I think that you're right. Also, what will that mean for the other bowl games? I mean, if we're starting the playoffs like at the beginning of bowl season,
Yeah.
what will that mean for the other bowl games? I mean, when will those bowl games be played? Will we have more sit outs, or will we just have teams who just aren't willing to accept those bowl invitations?
I think bowl games are going to decrease. We've seen them explode to the point where teams can barely even afford to go to these games. You're gonna see them shrink back down, I think. And it's my mic not working the best. Um, you're gonna see teams that don't want to participate, like you said. They're not gonna want to play. A 6-6 team like a consolation bowl, unless it's in a fantastic location like the Bahamas or something. Why would you want to go? Or somewhere where it's super warm and tropical.
My one of my nephew played for Michigan. He said there were a lot of like gifts and stuff, like
There
you
are a lot of
like
gifts for bowl games.
yeah, for bowl games. So
Pretending. So I get it from the players' perspectives, wanting to go and attend for that. Like, especially the bigger games. I know the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, and they got PS4s. Like they all got PS4s. Like, that's dope. That's sick. They're the primary sponsor. It makes sense. But yeah, man, it's just one of those things. Like, I know bowl games are cool, and I love predicting them. But there's gonna be less, and there's gonna be sit outs. There's gonna be things where where teams just can't afford to go or don't want to go or don't see the point of going, and players are going to be pissed off about that. But I think you're going to see the consolation more of big time players going to bigger time programs because they want to play in these postseason games and have the opportunity to get those gifts and make more money, more NL opportunities, more footage for the NFL draft and draft teams. Make themselves more marketable, and it's really interesting, man. I did want to talk about briefly Keon Sabb transferring from Michigan to Alabama to kind of to fill the vacated Caleb Downs role. I thought that was an interesting transfer, man, and I want to get your thoughts on that. We don't spend too much time on it, but what are your thoughts on Sabb going to Oklahoma or going to Alabama, taking Downs spot, Downs coming to Ohio State, taking over the starting spot here, and what that means for Michigan, what that says about Michigan, what that says about Alabama? Is Michigan the superior program right now? Y- obviously in the national champions, but
Michigan, they're not the superior program. I just think that they built a team throughout the years. It took
they
3 or
built the
4
team.
years to build this team. I mean, I think Alabama is more longevity, um, but in terms of like who's the more superior, I think Alabama's going to be the more superior team. I mean, who's is it?
Even with the board coming in,
Yeah. I think Sab's gonna be a star. I mean, if he why he left, maybe because it's because Clink left, but
yeah,
yeah,
either that or he's chasing the NIL bag. Maybe he knew he could get more money elsewhere.
he probably he probably could, but I just think it's that he doesn't want to be a role player anymore. I mean, he wants that spot. He saw the
Yeah.
Caleb's down left, Clinksale left,
Oh,
Michigan. Just I think he just wants a starting role.
I think you're right, man. It's really interesting transfer, and it bodes well for both teams. I think both teams win because they got Page and Moore back there at safety, starting for them in the Michigan secondary. Whereas Sab can go down to Bama and kind of probably step right in. I don't know the Bama roster, in and out like I do the Michigan or Ohio State roster, but I imagine Keon Sav's gonna light up the field, and he probably sees himself in a Caleb Downs type role and having that kind of production. So we'll see what happens with it. Um, Another thing I wanted to talk about tonight. This is kind of a minor topic as well. Um, I saw it announced all over Instagram and Twitter and 11 Warriors today that Ohio State is going to be, or no, this is yesterday. Ohio State's going to be playing at Wrigley Field, and as Northwestern is demolishing their stadium, Ryan Field. And what do you think about that? I mean, Ryan Field. Why don't they play at Soldier Field, bro?
I don't know, man. I think it's just the reverse Winter Classic of the NHL. The NHL goes plays in NFL stadium. Now apparently college football teams are gonna go play, and wait, where are they going? You said Rig.
Wrigley, yeah, the Cubs Field,
Yeah, I just think that I don't know how much of that. How much does that even seat? How much does Wrigley
like
Field?
35, 40,000, if that.
That who are you gonna get? I mean, look at the. We all know that Columbus fan base travels very well. I mean, that's pretty much always gonna be there.
Yeah,
I mean, like, but if it's only 34, you said 30, 40,000.
30 to 40,000, somewhere in that range. Yeah, it's a smaller. It's one of the smaller MLB venues.
You can't get a good amount of both fan bases in there. I mean, that'd be really
Especially
limited ticket
some
sales.
of the sight lines, bro, are going to be horrible. Now, I know Illinois and Northwestern have played there before. I know they played there before because I've seen it. Um, but like, dude, the sidelines are trash. When you're talking baseball field going to an NFL field, it's gonna be ridiculous, man.
You
And I don't
have
think that's the
to
best case.
you have to look at the state of those programs though. You got to look at Northwestern. You got to look at Illinois.
Yeah,
All right, they weren't that
yeah.
exciting. The fans probably didn't really want to buy tickets or like whatever.
Sure,
You got to think of
sure.
the excitement that'll. What year is this going to be played?
This is gonna be played this year.
Oh, you got to think of the excitement for the Buckeye fan base. They'll have the best team since like 2019 playing. Like,
Yeah, no
might as well
doubt.
just give all the tickets to the Buckeyes and let them come.
Yeah, no kidding, man. It'd be interesting from a PR perspective because it's like, wow, they're playing in such a unique venue, and such a unique atmosphere. But like, I don't know, you know, I think there's two other options that could have worked better: Chicago Fire's MLS Stadium's venue, or the Soldier Field for where the Bears play. As long as the NFL isn't
You
hosting the
need a
Bears
bit.
that
You need
weekend.
more seats, man. You need more seats. You got to think about the fan bases, especially Ohio
Yeah,
State.
exactly, man. Ohio State. I know when Ohio State, Michigan always travel to Evanston, they always fill out that entire side of the stadium, and they'd fill out more if they had the option to fill out more. It's just
Yeah.
the stadium is that tiny. Ryan Field only sat 43,000 itself. So let's think about that first of all. You know, it was like just a pathetic venue, and I think they're downsizing their new stadium. The the venue that they're building is only going to host 35,000. So it's definitely the smallest in the Big Ten for a reason. And Northwestern, I've been on their campus. It's a very small campus, beautiful campus, absolutely stunning. It made me almost want to go there when I visited my buddy in Evanston. But they have the smallest stadium for the reason, and it's because their alumni or their students on campus at one time was only 6,000. So anyway, so we talked about Ohio State being NFLU. We talked about the new college football playoff format. We didn't say um, um, how many years we think the football format will last right now. That it is the 5+7. I mean, do you see it lasting beyond two seasons? Like, do you see it going beyond that, or no? Because we both admitted it's gonna be gone by 2030.
Yeah,
But
I
how
think the
long do
big
you think we'll have a
indication
12
will
team?
be it's always about the money, man.
Yeah, follow the money.
Always about the money. Got to follow the money to see what really matters. But
Exactly.
they're gonna see how well this does in terms of money grab, and then they're gonna expand it even more.
Okay. So they'll let it be. They'll let it rest, kind of settle in the minds of people for maybe 2, 3 seasons,
Who
and then
knows? Maybe
expand.
we'll have March Madness, but football version. I mean,
64, baby.
the round is
Dickie V on
64.
the mic. That would be amazing. Dickie
Yeah.
V, man. One other topic I wanted to bring up. I know Crawford and I talk about this like just in our own little side chat group, but the new college football video game is coming out, and they announced that five voices are going to be on it. Herb Street Fowler are going to be the lead broadcaster. You're going to also have Pollock and the former quarterback from FSU, Jesse Palmer. That's or from Florida. That's on there as well, and one other voice, Lee Corso, actually not going to be on there. But what are your thoughts on the college football game? Is this game you played growing up, or what do you think about the game coming out finally after like more than a decade?
It was a game I played growing up. I would always go dynasty mode. I
Yeah,
would create a player that would win the Heisman every
so
year.
fun,
My
bro.
team would go undefeated those 4 years. I have the longest win streak. Just gamer numbers. But
Yeah,
what I don't agree with, or some players doing, is just like, why are you holding out just because you're only gonna get $600?
you're a better
It's
player and you
more
want more
that
than
you know
six
what?
hundred.
Set aside your greed, and this game is more for the fans than yourselves. Like,
It is,
who
yeah. It's not some money
cares?
grab.
It's just like, don't make it about you. Don't make it about the money grab. It's
Yeah,
This
please
game
don't
is
make it about
more
the
for
money
the
grab.
fans.
Can you imagine this game coming out and certain players just aren't in the game because they held out for like $1,000 or something? Like they just didn't want to be in it because of $400 or something like that. You know, like can you imagine this game without a Marvin Harrison? That would suck, bro. I mean, like obviously he's not going to be in the game because you know, you get my point though. But like imagine it without you know, High State starting quarterback or something like that. Will Howard or Devin Brown be like, no, bro, I'm better than that. I want more money because I'm the starting quarterback at Ohio State or whatever the case is, you know, like that'd be ridiculous, man. It would make the game not nearly as fun for me because Ohio State. What I always do, maybe this is boring, but maybe it's not. But like I always started with Ohio State. I play Ohio State, Michigan first. I do an Ohio State dynasty. Then I pick like Eastern Michigan or Bowling Green or some MAC team or Wyoming or whatever, and build them into a powerhouse until they be a 5 year, you know, win the national title 5 years in a row. But
I
no,
remember,
that's
like,
always a game I still play even NCAA 13 to this day, not 14, but 13. You know, every once in a while I'll fire it up and I do have some fun on there. But no man,
I
it's a
I remember after a while of playing that, after the season ended, I've won all these games. On the
yeah.
front of ESPN magazine, they had it said, "Game streak is at 220."
Yeah,
Man.
buddy.
But you know what? I could see all the Miami Hurricanes players holding out because we all know that they're about the
Especially
NIL.
Justin Scott, bro. He's gonna hold out for the $2 or $3,000 contract just to be in the game because he went for the bag at the U anyway. So we know that's the case. But yeah, man, we had our struggles getting on here tonight, but I'm glad we finally were able to get on. I know there are a couple other topics that we want to go over. Do you remember any of the other topics that we were considering discussing tonight? I didn't write them down, so that's my apologies.
It's all good, dude.
Yeah.
Uh, no, not really. I mean, there is the issue of the Dabo Sweeney issue.
Oh yeah, we can talk about Dabo a little bit. Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
absolutely. Go for it, bro.
So going back to Dabo coaching Clemson, he get promoted from within.
He did. He was an internal
Yeah.
promotion guy.
He got
Yeah.
promoted within. It took to like I think 2012, 2013 for the program to start taking off. But in 2015 it really started taking off. They had
quarterbacks.
their really good run to 2020, four national championship appearances. They were let's see. They were 2-1 against Bama in the championships.
Yeah,
They won their
2-1.
conference. They won their conference every year, made the playoffs pretty much every year.
Dominated the
They had
ACC.
really good recruiting classes, and then all of a sudden they've fallen off. And this was just me being naive and how much NIL would actually impact the game in terms of where these high-profile players would go. It's no long. It's kind of no longer about who the coach is or development. It's all about the bag now. So due to the fact that Dabo he he is sticking with his I'm going to keep on building philosophy rather than getting with the times, and I think that is really setting Clemson football back. And let's say that he goes somewhere else and someone else takes over, they're really going to have their work cut out for them.
They're not just going to be able to continue winning like maybe a Kalen DeBoer will be able to do at Alabama for a couple of years anyway. You know, we won't see them just taking off and destroying fools because it did take some time, man. They had to get the guys like Taj Boyd at quarterback, and then of course
Sammy
the guy in
Watkins, wide
Cleveland,
receiver.
Sammy
Yeah.
Watkins, the wide receiver, dude. He tore us up in the screen game. Oh my gosh, 230 yards in the screen game alone. Um, but yeah, then they had of course Lawrence, and they had their other quarterback, Houston, formerly Houston, now in Cleveland, and Watson.
Sean Watson.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson, and
I mean, they had a lot of star
they had a
players.
run.
A
They had a
lot of
run there.
players for the NFL, dude. I mean, especially on defense.
Let's talk about Clemson just a little bit in general. Like, what do you think of Klubnik? Like, I don't think he's the guy, man. I don't think he's the guy there. I've watched him a couple times, not enough to have a informed, educated opinion. So,
Look, I have faith in Klubnik, and here's why.
okay, okay.
DJ definitely was not the guy. I mean,
DJ,
I
yeah,
thought he was. He had comparisons to Ben Roethlisberger, but
yeah,
that's maybe the program wasn't right for him. Maybe the offense just didn't fit his playing style. But if you look at the type of quarterbacks that Dabo had, they were really mobile. They can throw and
yeah.
run. I mean, look at Taj
Boyd
Boyd,
was too.
Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, and now
Yep, Tosh
Klubnik
Boyd.
can run too. But
Okay,
they here's the thing. They don't have the wide receivers that they used to.
they don't. And I read an article on that recently too. They don't have the talent, the skill positions anymore. They just don't.
Yeah. And here's another thing. They look, what was really, really disappointing was that, the class with Miles Murphy, Brian Breeze, was it
Yeah,
Breeze?
yeah, Breeze.
It was Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Yep.
Um, Barrett Carter he's still a linebacker. They had, I mean, and even Jordan, even Shipley, their running
Hmm.
back.
Hmm.
And DJ as well. I really thought that they were going to get at least two national championships out of that class.
Dang, bro. You had that high respect for him.
They didn't even win the conference.
No ACC crowns for that recruiting class yet.
Didn't come close to the playoffs. They didn't win the
Nope.
conference. Didn't come close to the playoffs. I was just really disappointed until I really started looking into this, and Dabo's just his unwillingness to adapt. I mean,
He's unwilling to
that's
change.
just all it is.
He
That's
won't
just
go after the portal. He won't play the NIL game. And even if Clemson wanted to play the NIL game, you can't fire a coach like Dabo Swinney, who's won so many games for Clemson. But there comes a time when you must get with the times. You must get with the program and understand that you're never going to win again. You're going to go back to being a little sister, winning the championship every 35 years, 1980 to 1981. I'm sorry, it was 1981 to 20. What was it? 16. They won the first title. Yeah, 2016. So that's just the reality of the situation, man. It could be another 35 years before Clemson wins another title just because of the refusal to adapt to the changing times and the changing and shifting landscape of college football. So that's an interesting point you bring up, and I think Dabo, he had his run, man. He had his good line of quarterbacks from Boyd to Watson to Lawrence, and it Klubnik might be a good enough quarterback, but there's not enough depth around him there. So I think their run is coming to an end, bro. I think you're right. Although I think Klubnik might be a good enough quarterback, they're just not a good enough team.
Yeah, it's not a good enough team. They don't have enough of a supporting cast for Klubnik. They
Yeah,
just they don't. I mean, I guess that Will Shipley, I mean, he could open up the passing game, but again, they don't have much wide receivers. I'm not too sold on who's it, Garrett Riley, who was the once the TCU offensive
oh
coordinator.
yeah,
Now he's with Clemson, the offensive coordinator. I'm not too sold on him. I didn't see anything very impressive his first year at offensive coordinator, and I
sure.
don't know what year two is going to look like. I mean, we'll
Well, it could be interesting, man, because like you said, they don't have the skill at wide receiver. They got a good quarterback, but who's he
I
throwing to, bro?
I thought
Guys' names I don't
again,
recognize,
I
and
was
I follow
really
college football religiously.
I was really naive about how much transfer portal NIL would actually impact college football. So I'm sitting
Yeah,
here thinking like maybe the offensive coordinator, maybe because they lost Breton Venables, who was a big piece to that to Clemson's success, especially. I mean,
well, that's the
he
thing,
was
yeah,
a
and
legit defensive coordinator. But really, it's Dabo adapting to the times. That's it. End of discussion.
that's the bottom line. That's the
That's
bottom
the
line
bottom
for
line.
sure. And you saw Oklahoma elevate themselves a little bit this year, but now they're entering the SEC. That'll be interesting to transition. Maybe that'll be a topic for next week that we could unravel more how Texas and Oklahoma are going to do in the
I
SEC now.
I think Texas has a good chance to do well,
Okay, okay,
but I don't think Oklahoma. I just
and why is that?
why is that?
Yeah,
I mean, just their ceiling, the amount of talent they can get. I mean, I just feel like that. I mean, who knows what Brett Venables' playing style will be. Here's the thing, though. Steve Sarkisian was a Saban disciple. He knows
sure,
what it takes to win the SEC. He knows what type of system you have to run defensively and offensively. He knows the
yeah,
type of players you need to get. He knows the type of staff you need to have in order to adapt and be successful in the
right.
SEC. And I don't know if Brent Venables, Oklahoma, like
Okay.
has what it takes.
Well, I don't know if they have the recruiting chops. Oklahoma used to be more connected to Texas and have access to Texas recruit. But now, well, I mean, now they got access to the SEC recruit. Georgia, Florida guys, maybe.
I mean
So maybe they could.
they got completely just obliterated by Arizona
I
in the
mean,
bowl
they
game.
did. They did. It's
Yeah.
true.
I mean, if they can't really compete against Arizona, what do you think's going to happen when they get to the SEC? They have to play LSU, Bama,
On a
Georgia,
weekly basis, and
Tennessee.
the
I
schedules are
mean,
not
we're talking about
friendly.
the gauntlet, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
and the schedules are
how
not
can you
friendly to new
survive?
members of conferences. Like as you see for the Big Ten, you see that their schedules for USC and Oregon and Washington. Oregon plays both Ohio State and Michigan this year, bro. Like, welcome to the Big Ten. You're playing our two top dogs. Yeah, you get to avoid Penn State, but you play everybody else and your old Pac-12 rivals too. So Texas and Oklahoma are getting the same treatment. I know Texas plays or Texas plays Georgia. I know they play each other. I can't remember where the game is, but yeah, it's gonna be fun seeing these new games. Like it's a new world, new landscape we're in with a bunch of teams and a whole mess of a conferences now. But a topic we'll cover next week. I really want to dive into this with you. I thought about it for this week, but I wanted to develop my thoughts on it more before we dive into it on the Big Ten SEC super power conferences and what that's going to look like. Um, because it seems like the more we go and the further we get down the road, the Big Ten and SEC are distancing themselves from the ACC and the Big 12 in terms of power teams, in terms of playoff appearances. And as you see the 12-team playoffs, you're gonna have four to five teams from the SEC and Big Ten, maybe one to two from the Big 12 and ACC. So we'll talk about that next week more. But just your initial thoughts on that. Your initial thoughts on what that might look like.
with the Big Ten and SEC
Big Ten,
forming.
SEC kind of taking over college football and probably growing to 20 to 30 teams like later down the road.
Man, I think that could possibly ruin things. I don't
It
know
could ruin
why.
things. They could be a subdivision, a new
I
subdivision.
I mean they can go and form their own league at that point and leave everyone else
They'd
out.
have to. It'd have to be Big Ten SEC playoff.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about that next week. Let's do some research on that. We'll dive into that further and what that could look like and what that could potentially be and what that might mean for college football world and the 16-team playoff, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, man, this was Buckeyes Battle Cry live for the ninth straight Thursday. We had a great time tonight. I hope you guys did as well. We're gonna sign off here tonight for this Thursday Night Live. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for joining us every Thursday live at 9:15 here on YouTube. And we look forward to growing the channel. We're gonna be putting out some videos this week. We talked about some of the videos we put out this past week, and we can't wait to put out even more this upcoming week. So you have a great night, Rob. Man, it was good discussing things with you, bro. And we'll jump back on. We'll see you guys on the YouTube channel this week. All right, have a good one.
Yep.
Later.